Welcome to your new Enlightenment Oasis, Blank Enlightenment Radio with Misty Thompson on transformationtalkradio.com. Your host, Misty Thompson, joins Dr. Pat and takes you through a journey towards enlightenment. This hit show will help you believe in yourself, knowing that what happens in your life is not happening to you, but rather for you. Gain tools to take this new way of thinking and apply it into your everyday life. By changing your mind, you will change your life. Now settle into where you are because you are in a safe place to learn.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. I guess, Pat. I would just continue there.
Okay.
We'll work on it.
So I'm so happy to be back. I unfortunately had a mishap last time, and so I'm so grateful that I am able to do some readings because last time I got disconnected. I live in a very small town in southeastern Arizona, and sometimes these things happen. So Dr. Pat and everyone was gracious enough to let me come on back, and so I'm very excited to be able to come in and do some readings for everybody. So last time what we spoke about was a little bit of connecting with our spirit team is what I call them. And that can be anything from our loved ones who have passed away and also our guardian angels and archangels. And last time we talked about the angels and the archangels and the connections that we have and the signs and symbols that they do provide us. And they're always with us. We just need to trust, we need to have faith, and we need to believe. So that's what we're all about. That's what we're wanting to do. And I'm really excited again today that we are going to start taking some phone calls because I really wanted to make up because I understand that there were some people that were kind of left out.
Yeah.
So I really want to make sure that we get that taken care of this time.
Yeah. So I took my headset off. So now I hope you can hear me. And
Yep, we got you.
all right. So what I love about this show and what you're doing, Misty, is that we are really taking phone calls because, first of all, it's a great time of year to really look at connecting. And this is the second installation of 3. And we're learning about connecting to our spirit team. So I want to go ahead and do 2 things. For those of you that are on Facebook Live, we're going to monitor your questions because we can do the same for you. But for our live callers that are plugged into the network, please give us a call. Benny will put you in the queue. We'll get you ready to work directly with Misty Thompson joining me here today. 1-800-930-2819. 1-800-930-2819. I want to talk with you while we're moving along with this, and we're just enabling people to call in. And please call in. We want to get as many callers as possible. I want to ask you about this because communicating with our spirit team, I think it's one of the great mysteries, Misty. Why? Because they're out there, they want to help, and for some reason, we don't chat with them or talk with them until something goes really wrong.
Right.
How can we change that? Let's change that.
Yeah. Well, I do know some people that actually have conversations with their loved ones who have passed, but a lot of people are exactly what you were saying when they are in trouble. And that's fine. Of course, they're going to help us, but it's good to have a good connection so you already know and you already know what to look for and you know the signs to look for when you are having a problem. If you're having a problem and you ask, you want the solution right then and there. And it doesn't always work that way. It's kind of like I've explained it to some of my clients, like, you want your children to learn to walk. So you kind of put them out there and let them figure it out on their own. So our spirit team does the same thing. They give us little nudges and guide us, but you have to kind of do the work on your own. So, and part of that is maintaining a relationship with your spirit team. So anytime, anytime, and I do this and it happens pretty regularly for me. When I get my little angel sign, which for me are little white feathers, and they will just show up in random places. I look at it, I smile, and I say thank you to the angels. Or sometimes in the morning when I'm meditating, I'll just sit there and I will just be grateful for my spirit team and just tell them thank you. I journal. Sometimes I don't really have anything to say and I just say thank you for what you do for me, and that's maintaining that relationship. Anybody can do it. It's really easy. You could think it, you can say it, it doesn't matter. So it's really very key, like you said. And then you know what to look for when you are wanting that answer right then and there.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm doing is I'm looking at Facebook here to make sure we're engaging with folks in some of the questions. One of the questions that comes in is, is there a certain way to communicate? And I've gotten that question over a 15-year period. I've gotten that question a lot because we think we have to communicate in a certain way. But I got to tell you, when I have made those desperation prayers or foxhole prayers, so to speak, when I've done those, I didn't think, am I asking in the proper way?
Right.
I'm like, please help
Yes.
me. Get me out of here. Please let me do my best while I'm taking this exam with some very hostile people. I'm not thinking, am I politically correct? Am I not politically correct? Tell us a little bit about the energy of that and why it really does work when we just go up as us.
Absolutely. You just got to be who you are. You have to remember our spirit team. And I think people try to put it in, the mind has to wrap around it and what it means, but we just have to think it and they know. Our spirit team already knows what we need and they already know what we're even going to ask. We just have to ask it. There's no right or wrong way. You can do it by writing, you can do it by thinking. It doesn't matter. The language does not matter. What it is that you are just asking for the help that you need. Bottom line, that's it. But like I said, I think that the key is doing it the way that feels best for you. Some people, it's very therapeutic to write. That is communicating with your spirit team. And I think people just get too caught up in the how. And when you get too caught up in the how, you start blocking, and that's where the disconnect happens. It's not the language necessarily. It's that you're not maintaining your highest level. You're not maintaining just the energetic level. When you're negative, when you're down, when you're in your time of need, different. But when you're like, oh, they're not going to answer me anyways, or I don't even know if I'm doing this right.
Right.
That's the block. The energy behind the words that are being spoken.
Yeah,
one of the
things I love about this, and it really came up in a previous show this week, has to do with passion. The word passion. We did a whole show about prayers, and this is one of them. But one of the things that I noticed about myself, especially whether I'm looking at myself in terms of how my spiritual practice is, I can really point specifically to times where I've gone through the motions. And I'm not saying not to do that, because sometimes that's the best you could do. But I'm looking at that versus when I have been purposeful and passionate about the thing, right? Whether it be a loved one in a hospital, whether or not I'm talking to my mom or my stepmom who have passed, right? When I talk to my stepmom, I'm not like saying, hi, Doris, how are you? I'm saying, where the bleep have you been?
Right.
Are you going to help me through this or not? I'm not saying everybody should do that, but
no. Well, that's your personality. So that's
it is my personality.
And that's how you do it. Right.
Yeah. And today in the show, we're asking people to call in so you can help connect them with their loved ones. But more importantly, when we can talk about what it is that's on our hearts that we want to get some relief with, what it is that we may or may not know how to ask for help. And we're going to go to a break and we'll go right on the phones when we come back. So all of you, 1-800-930-2819. Before we go to break, Misty, how can people work with you directly, especially now we're coming into the holidays? Absolutely. I don't know about you, but one of the things my team asked me is they're like, okay, are you going to go get an astrology reading? Are you going to go get, so what they're saying is you need to go get some help around the holidays, Pat, right? How
Yeah.
do they find
Yeah,
out more about
sure.
you?
Well, you can go to my website, mistymthompson.com, and I actually have some holiday specials going on, and they are right there on my website. And yeah, definitely, if there's any questions, they can go to contact@mistymthompson.com, send me an email, and I would love to hear from you.
So somehow, Misty,
Mhm.
like, so tell people about the books.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do have my book about my sister, By Your Side, and that's how I kind of stepped into the spiritual realm, if you will. And so that book is for sale, and I have lots of different spiritual books that I have been a contributing author for. And we had one that recently came out called Happy Thoughts Playbook, and it is a great tool to help people, especially this time of the year.
Okay, so short story before we go to break.
Mhm.
So I was back at the East Coast, right? Linda and I were back there, went to Vermont, took care of her brother's dog. Long story short, brother had an emergency in the
Mm.
hospital. And so his mother-in-law, who also lives with them,
Mhm.
his mother-in-law, love her. You know, Linda and I, we went over there to help her, brought her steaks while they were in Bermuda, the whole thing. Walk in, and she's sitting in the chair. She reads, and she doesn't even look up. She's not even looking up at us, right? And and I and I and I look down, and there's your book.
Oh, how
There is
nice.
your
That's
book.
awesome.
And she closes the book
Aw.
and she finishes the book, and she looked at both of us, and she said, "This is a really good book.
Aw,
Did
that's
she
so
write any more
sweet.
books?" Right? She had finished the whole book, and
Yeah.
and loved it.
Oh,
Loved, loved,
good.
loved
That's
it.
so nice to
And
hear.
it's just and I was like, how did she even get the book? But what
Right.
happens is Linda gets extra copies of the books.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so she brought them over
Yeah.
to have her read different things, and that is one of them.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and I do have one coming up. It's gonna a follow-up to it, and it's in the editing process right now. Hopefully early in the spring it'll be out. And it's about, I don't have a title yet, but it's about dealing with grief. And instead of looking at the 5 stages, the normal stages,
yeah,
that's fine, if that works for you, that's great, but know that you can look at it, I don't want to say a positive, but look at it from a higher energetic level.
yeah.
It honors our loved ones that way.
Oh my God, it does. Let's take a short break. When we come back, Brenda, we'll get right on the phones with you. We are taking your calls. We are doing live readings on here.
Mhm.
Misty Thompson joining me here today, 1-800-930-2819. And I will look at my phone during the break. We'll be right back.
I think it's time to bring Juice Newton back.
All right. Not a
I think
problem.
no, but on the show.
Oh, well, we
I
can
think it's time.
do that too. Don't we still have connections?
We do have connections.
Okay,
We
then.
definitely have
Put it on.
connections. Why did I even say that, Miss?
I don't know, but I'm down for that.
Angel in the morning. Angel. Oh my God, Benny, don't Benny, I gotta edit
What? Do
harder.
your
Edit
thing. No,
that
I'm
clip.
not editing that. I'm keeping it.
Edit that clip out. Woo! We are never gonna get her back with
No,
that.
that's funny.
Oh my, thank you, Misty. Misty Thompson is in the house. First, before we go to the phones, tell folks about you, what you do, and also how you've opened up your heart and your
Yeah.
schedule for folks for the holiday season.
Yeah. So people can connect with me at mistymthompson.com. And I got started with this back in 1993 with my sister, and it opened up my spiritual connection. And usually there's a traumatic event that happens in people's lives. And as a result, now, so many years later, I was called after I retired from the federal government. I was called to help people, and in this sense of connecting them with their loved ones. And I do angel card readings as well, and connecting with their loved ones, and just spiritual life coaching in general. And I think that all goes hand in hand. As you know, people are dealing with grief. You know, I have realized that people, the loved ones that were coming through, were trying to explain, hey, you need to, work on forgiveness, or you need to do that. So I've been kind of branching out, doing a little bit more of that too, just helping people on their path.
Yeah. What you're talking about to me is the next level of my personal growth. And what I mean by that is, I love what I've learned about spirituality and my personal spiritual practice. What I'm ready for now is the next level of living every day of my life. In fact, every moment of every day of my life in that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a far fetch for me. And I think you and we've talked about this before. When I got really, really sick, and I did, it was like on March 31st of 04, I was like healthy as an ox. By the end of the April 1st of 04, my entire system started to break down.
Wow.
And I think when you go through that, or you go through trauma, my mom committed suicide when I was 6. My sisters passed away way before their time. My birth sister died unexpectedly on a hospital floor. My stepmom died. By the time I got to 1994, I was thinking I cannot have any women in my life that are important to me, because I just looked around and I said, they're all dying. So what I learned is it's not about me, of course,
Right.
but it is about the energy of things. And so,
Sure.
spiritual coaching and what you do is so vital and important.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean by all means that I'm an expert at it, because I have my days as well. I mean, we're human. We go through our ups and downs. We have our things that we're dealing with as well. But what I have learned is taking those lessons I have learned and working on, I know I'm a work in progress, working on applying those, and remembering that what happens to me today and what my decisions are today can affect my future. So asking for help is okay, whether it's your spirit team or people around you, it is okay. And we all are a work in progress, and we learn as we go. And it's just picking up and learning and actually applying those lessons.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mr. Benny, I think we should go right to the phones.
Yes.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Let me go ahead and do this. So a couple of changes there. Now everybody can hear everybody. And we'll take Brenda calling in from Santa Monica. Hi, Brenda. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Brenda.
It just started happening about 6 weeks ago, where I wake up in the middle of the night having a panic attack. And I've never had one before. And then it started to feed on itself, where I wasn't falling asleep because I didn't want to wake up with a panic attack. So I've called in Metatron, which has helped, but it still is kind of hit and miss. So do you have a suggestion with something like that?
I personally do. Now, I do have to say, of course, the disclaimer, I'm not a medical professional, just based on my own experiences and those when I've helped my clients. When I have found people have had panic attacks, there's usually something that they are, of course, holding in. So I do feel like there's some kind of energetic, emotional thing that you're trying to push down. And I don't know if it happened many years ago or last week. It's starting to come through. Now, even my personal life, I've had some emotional things going on, and it has come out in the form of physical pain. So I think for you, not only stress, everyday stress, but I do feel like something is coming to the surface. Now, while we were on break, I was coming up with something, and I don't know if this applies to you, because there's a lot of people, connecting on Facebook and energetic from the callers, but I want to ask you if this applies to you. Did something happen to you around 12 years ago, or when you were 12?
I got divorced 12 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's from an alcoholic, and and we're still in litigation.
Okay.
So Yeah.
I think that's what's coming to the surface. And I think all of it, and you've pushed it down, pushed it down, pushed it down, and it's trying to fester its way out of your body. And I think that's what it is. Now, also, again, lots of energy, but I was feeling that there was a younger male that has passed away. Does that make any sense to you? If it doesn't, then
No,
that's okay.
but my dad died a few months ago. And that's been hard. I was really close to him.
Okay. Well, for some reason on the break, I was picking up a younger male. Now, that doesn't mean, and I kind of thought he might be 12 years old. That's why I was getting the 12. So sometimes the messages gets a little disconnected. Now, how old was your father when he passed?
86. Pretty funny.
86. So, okay, so he's not really technically
there.
physically young. Was he, and I'm not trying to grasp, I'm just trying to get more information, but was he young at heart? Did he try, if it's the person I'm thinking of, this person was young, meaning, and to me, I mean, I'm going to be 50 in a couple of months. So to me, young is still 50 years old. So, so I don't know if he had a young spirit about him. And if not, please. Okay. Yeah, because I don't want you to make it fit, but if it makes sense, and I feel like it was attached to something with the person who had the 12-year ago concern, which would have been you. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me see if there's anything else, but before, because I know some things will come through as I'm speaking, because I know my words will be guided. However, I do want to know more about this energy that you've been pushing down, because I feel like this young spirit is trying to help you through this. Actually, I feel like that's the connection. Was your dad possibly a vital role in this when you were going through this 12 years ago? Like, was he your support system, or
knowing he was the one that always had my back.
okay,
So
maybe
I wouldn't say a
okay.
vital role, but just,
Yeah, no, that's vital.
Guy.
Having your back is definitely vital. You need that. So okay, so this is what's coming to me now. Okay, very cool. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of doing the left hand because spirit comes through to my through my left. So what I'm feeling is that your dad is helping you, trying to get you to get this out of your system. It's like poison. You're being poisoned by this this event that you've been pushing down, and it's time to let it out. I feel like your dad is helping you. Now, when your dad was younger, in his heyday, or even when you were younger, was there a sport that he liked to do? I feel like he liked to play basketball, just like joking around, like playing with the kids, or I don't know. I'm seeing a young dad with his young kids playing basketball or something. Does that make sense to you? I'm sorry?
So there's 4 daughters, and I'm almost 60, and he just made sure we were all good athletes. And
that's what it is.
That was big.
So he would practice with you and kind of help you and whatever, and support you and all of that. Okay. So this is what I feel like you need to do. You need to get back to that, because I feel like that's going to be a good way for you to get it out of your system. He wants you to go back to when you were young. And because I feel like when you were young, did you play sports in high school? Is that why?
No, just
not really. Just in
very
general.
active.
Okay.
And, yeah. And
Okay.
I'm at my highest weight ever, and I stopped doing anything exercise wise. So that would make sense.
Yeah. So that's what he wants you to do. It's going to help you all aspects of your life. Getting back to that fun, being a playful spirit like when you were young. It doesn't matter how old we are. You can still do silly things like you did when you were a kid. So it's important for you to step back into that. So I feel like your dad's going to be with you. He's going to be guiding you. He's going to be prompting you. So when I say prompting you, this is where the signs are going to come in. If you're open to it, which it sounds like you are, I feel like he's going to be giving you some guidance on what to do when. So if you're watching TV and you see an ad for a basketball player, because for some reason basketball is really ringing in my head. If you see a basketball player like doing a deodorant commercial or something, then you need to go play basketball. I feel like that's going to be a good stress reliever for you. And I feel like that's going to help you not only with, like you said, the weight loss, it's going to help you release all that energy that you've been like pushing down from 12 years ago.
I think one of the things that I'm pushing down is there's this secret in the back of my head, which I haven't said out loud. I'm worried that like maybe I'm becoming OCD.
Oh, I don't feel that. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm not feeling like that. I think the more you obsess over the OCD, I think
Yes.
it's making you more paranoid. Yeah. So I don't think so. I think you're just working yourself up for nothing on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does
So
that
is
look
there
like
vi-
for you?
is-
Tell me
what's
what
the-
OCD
yeah.
looks like for you.
It's just that I've never had a panic attack before, and I now have so much compassion because there's this fear of having it. So then that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Is, oh no, what if you? And so it's like, well, why just go to sleep? You're going to wake up. So it's taking on a life of its own.
Exactly. Because you're feeding into the fear. When you feed into the fear, it makes it bigger. So I know it's not going to be easy, but take little steps every day to not think about the what ifs. And if you catch yourself, just yell stop. Whether it's in your head or out loud, just say stop. Distract the thought and try to think of something more positive. Change your language. Instead of saying, I'm afraid I'm going to have a panic attack, just, I am well. I am going to sleep well, or whatever. Change the language, but you have to stop the thought, because it, like you said, it's getting a life of its own. You're feeding into the fear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I got to
Thank
tell you, that
you.
whole stop thing works.
It
really
does. Yeah.
work. It really does work. Thank you for calling in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's take a short break, Benny, and then we'll go back right to the phones. That's my favorite song. Oh, Benny wants me to sing it. I can't. I would just embarrass myself again. But that Juice Newton.
I didn't try.
I know you did try. I interviewed Juice Newton right after the gentleman that wrote that song. They toured together for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And I got to interview him, her, and the family about that song and about the other songs that he wrote. But it was such a powerful song for me growing. I don't know why. I think we all relate to different songs, but I'm really a little sappy at heart. People don't think about that as me, right? My friend said, you're like a coconut. And I don't know that that's a compliment. So I had to rethink that. But they're like, you're like this coconut. Once we crack you open, you got this juicy stuff inside. And I thought, I'm glad that was said to me 20 years ago, that I did something about that. Now, not quite like a coconut, but I'm not a marshmallow either.
Right.
Misty, I know we've got caller waiting. So I want to find out how people can find out more about you, how they can work with you directly.
Yeah.
These are short sessions that
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Go to my website, mistymthompson.com. And if you're interested in a reading, you can go to my contact page, notify me, or you can even set up a reading right there on my scheduling page.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Benny.
Yes, ma'am.
Who do we have?
We'll take Ann calling in from Walla Walla, Washington. Hi, Ann.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Good. How are you, Ann?
Great.
Awesome.
Okay. So here's I have just a quick background and then a question.
Okay.
So I've been in the last several months healing from the experience and the energies of a narcissistic relationship. I'm identifying this pattern throughout my life. I think it's connected to my father, mother, and an understanding of what real love is and partnership. Both my parents have passed. My mother passed when I was 15. And in the last few weeks, I've been having a lot of historical sort of based feelings of grief and anger. And I think it's related to the healing that I'm going through. So as I move forward in my life and kind of think about partnerships down the road, I'm really not interested now, but I'm starting to kind of wonder about my redefinition of what true love is versus a narcissistic pattern of love. And wondering if you have any information from my guides or parents that have passed on how do I move through that and what do I look for and what is it? Because I don't know what the healthy version is.
Right. Well, my terms of healthy version might be different from yours. So what I would say is just definitely feel what makes you feel good about yourself. That's just what came off the top of my head. When our loved ones go on the other side, I feel like there's that review process. And I do feel like that they do regret some of the mistakes that they've made. And we all make mistakes as parents, most of us are young and we make mistakes with our children. So I do feel like that's why you're getting all of this. And I can't remember exactly the term you used, but you're starting to feel more of this now, like the grief process. And that is because it's time for you, like we were saying earlier, we are ready to move on to our next step. Your next step is grief. Even though they may have passed a while, it could have been last week or it could have been 20 years ago, you're going through the grief process. So before you start analyzing on the how and the why and what does it mean, this is a perfect time for you to honor yourself and go through that process, that grieving process. Because I do know, I'm feeling it very strongly, without a doubt, you are going to get the answers you're looking for. It's just when you are forcing it and looking for it and wanting it, it blocks it. So, okay, I'm going to see if I can connect really quick with your parents and, okay. What I'm feeling is I feel like your dad was, and I feel like I don't feel like he's this way anymore, but I feel like this is the way you will recognize him. So I feel like he's coming through as like the main speaker of the house. So meaning your mom pretty much just followed his lead. He was the one who stood out in the front. He was the one who was the voice. He was the one, and your mom just kind of stayed back and just agreed, even though she disagreed. So I feel like he's the one coming through more strongly than your mother, but she's right behind him. He wants you to be happy, of course. Again, he definitely is feeling the sadness of the regret that he should have done. But now's the time for him to make that up to you. Okay. Now, I think I missed it. How old were you when you said your father passed?
My father only passed about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay. And I feel like that's part of the reason. Okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say my mother passed when I was 15.
Okay. So in between there, and I feel like that makes sense. That's another reason why he's coming forward, because he was the one who was there as your parental person when your mom passed. Okay. So I do feel like he was really hard on you. He had no clue what he was doing raising you. Now, do you have a brother or a brother-like figure? And they could be alive or past.
I have a brother I'm quite close to.
Okay, yeah. I feel like your brother was kind of that middleman, kind of helping you, but kind of, trying to work with your dad. And I feel like that's why you're so close to your brother. I feel like you leaned on him a lot during those times. Your dad just had no idea what to do with you. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just he had no clue what to do with a daughter. And he is regretting that now. I do feel like, and I don't know if you know this, but I feel like this is what he's telling me. Your brother used to talk to your dad a lot on what maybe you confided, not major secrets, but you confided in your brother in things, and then your brother would go talk to your dad about it. Because I don't know if you can remember some times where your dad may have came back and kind of changed the story that he was telling. Like if because what I'm feeling is that he might have told you, no, you can't do this, and then later on he might be like, okay, I'll let you do this, but you have to be back at 10 or whatever. So I do feel like your
Right.
brother was that person, and I don't know if you knew the extent of that. So I do feel that the grief, now your brother, he's fine, right? He's not going through the grief like you are right now. Are
Correct.
you still close to your brother even now?
Yes.
Okay. So he's going to help you. He's going to step right back into that role. Have you talked to him about this? About like the
We've
anger?
talked about a little bit, not a
Okay.
lot lately.
Yes.
There's been a lot coming up the last couple of weeks.
Yes. And I think a lot of that is the holidays, just in general. The holidays is just the time, and it's just crazy. And I know a lot of time has passed, but it's because two things. One, the holidays, and two, you're ready to step into that next place. And you've had those relationships in the back that weren't healthy. You're ready to move on and be better, do better for yourself. And it doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. You are going to have to take the time. The first thing you need to do is talk to your brother about the grief and that all that you're feeling about the death, and he might be able to give you a good perspective on it because he knows your dad, he knew your mom, all of that. So he can give you a better perspective on that. That is the first and foremost thing you need to work on. I think once you start shedding that, the other stuff is just going to come naturally to you. Also, and this is a big one I tell a lot of my clients, journal. When you're feeling angry, write it out. Write it all out. Get it out of your system. If you hang on to it, it's going to be like the last caller. It's going to build and it's going to come out somehow, some way. So get it out of your body. Don't let it fester.
Well, I have to tell you that I have a stick and I go into my bedroom and I beat my pillow.
I love that.
It feels fabulous. I mean,
perfect.
I can feel the change in my body after just allowing myself to do that when it comes up.
I love it. Exactly. Do that. Yeah. But I feel like for some reason writing is for you too. I don't know if you like to write and it doesn't have to make sense. Just write what comes to your mind. Good, bad, the ugly, it doesn't matter. Just get it out of your system. But yeah, the pillow, that is brilliant. I'm going to use that. I'm definitely going to use that myself.
Okay. Is there any, I mean, have I really been able to sever the strings to this last relationship, or is it still?
No, you haven't.
Swirling. Okay.
I do feel like it's still, it's exactly like you said, a string. I do feel like it's thinning, but it's still there. The thing for you is you are the one hanging on to it. You can let that string go anytime you're ready. You're choosing to hang on to it. So that's just going to come with more confidence in yourself. That's going to come with more faith that you're not going to be alone. You're going to figure this out. We always do. It may not be what you think right now, but it doesn't matter. It will work itself out. So I still feel you hanging on to that string for a little bit, but you need to let that go. Don't be so hard on yourself with it though. Yeah, give yourself a break, but you need to choose to let it go. But do it the right way. If you don't do it the right way, it's going to come creeping back. So take the time and honor yourself and figure out what it is, what you think is a healthy relationship. Write that down. I think that's a great journaling prompt. A healthy relationship looks like to me, and just write down what you think. Because that's what matters, what you feel it is.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Is this an ex relationship with sort of narcissistic, as you pointed to?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this is a former relationship, and you were entangled in sort of the narcissistic dynamic?
Yeah. And it just recently ended.
Yeah. So you
and I
know,
look back and
well, you know, I interviewed Melanie Tanya Evans, who wrote the book on literally from her own experience on what to do with the narcissist. And rule number one, and I had to learn this, you know, I called Melanie way back, and I think what Misty's talking about is this contact, this this string. But rule number one, which was the hardest thing for me to learn, was the no contact rule. No contact, zero. Not if they're calling or my car broke down or none of that, right? And so that's the best advice I got from her. And now she's written a book about it, but she was one of the few people that came out, right, Misty? I mean, we can't do that with those that have passed. I mean, definitely they're there to help us, right? But people that are alive and walking, no contact is the number one thing for your pathway to freedom. Do you know what I'm saying?
And that's your
I hear you.
choice. You're choosing to have contact. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the best advice I could give you, to completely sever that string. Otherwise, it's the same string that those of us that have been in relationships like that, it's the same string that feels like, oh, you still love me. And let me do this for you. No. This is really about you saving yourself in your life.
Okay. All right. I will work on that.
Yep. I'd get her book too. I'd get Melanie Tanya Evans' new book. But she was doing this long before anybody was really talking about NPD. And there's a difference between having narcissistic personality disorder and referring to somebody as narcissistic. They're not the same. You know, we throw that term around a lot. But once you see the mechanisms that somebody that truly has when they exhibit NPD, you find out that they're seriously wounded, but it's not our job to save them.
Yeah, and I would say I fell right into that hole.
Oh, we all do.
Oh, yeah. You're not the only one.
Yeah,
The best thing to do is learn from it, though. Learn from it and move on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No contact.
Now you know the signs. You know when you see a new person in your life and they're starting to distribute those signs, stay away. No contact.
No contact.
Don't even get involved. Yeah.
Yeah. No answer in the phone, no texting. You know, I mean, honestly, that was the only thing that worked for me, and it saved my life.
Okay. Thank you so much for that.
Good. Yeah. We're on your team.
That's right.
All right.
Thank you.
Sending you love.
Much love. Wow. What a great show. Again, Misty, I know that you're doing so much to help people. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and also how people can find out more about you.
Sure. So, I do take appointments, one-on-one appointments. I do group sessions, or, I do coaching. So it could just be a one-on-one, hey, I want to connect with my loved ones. Or, it could be any of that. So then go to mistymthompson.com. And you can check out my services, connect with me there on Facebook, also Mystified Enlightenment on Facebook. And
all right.
I'd love to hear from people.
Well, we're going to hear from somebody right now who's been patiently holding.
Yes, thank you.
Betty.
Yeah, we have Joan calling in from Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. So Joan, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Joan. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Thank you so much for holding and being patient. I appreciate it.
No, I actually got a lot out of just listening to her story too, because I could relate to some of the stuff, like going through, because right now I'm feel like I'm letting go or processing like a lot of grief and negative emotion. Kind of thing.
I hear it in your voice. So I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry that you're going through that. But, at the same time, I know it doesn't seem like it now, but when this is all said and done with, it's going to be such a blessing in a sense. You're going to learn so much and you're going to be better, a much better person for it. It's just hanging in there and not, the hardest part is pushing down those feelings. Please don't push down those feelings. If you feel like crying, cry. It's okay. You don't have to be strong. You can be vulnerable. And that's exactly what I was saying my next book is about the grief. And it doesn't necessarily have to be grief of a loved one. It could be grief of a breakup. That is going through grief, in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's okay to feel the 5 stages of grief where you're angry and sad and denial and bargaining, all of that. But it's also okay to be vulnerable, and you don't have to be strong all the time. Give yourself a break because, it's okay. We are meant to process our emotions. Otherwise, it will hurt us in other ways. So, was there a specific question though that you had, or were you looking to connect with someone specifically?
Well, I have been trying to work more like with my angels and guides and
Perfect.
have more awareness, but I was curious if there was like a message or
Just any message or from a loved one, or because you said angels, so I have my cards here. I feel like I need to pull a card for you. Are
Yeah.
you open to
oh,
that?
that would be nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
We have
Love it,
about
love it.
1 minute, 1.5
Okay.
minutes. Yeah,
Got
let's do it.
Let's do it. One card. Oh, here it is right here. Assertiveness. I don't know if you can read the card. Assertiveness. And the card actually says the situation can be healed gently and with love as you've requested. Yet there's also a need for your strength and truthfulness with the other people involved. The angels are going to stand right behind you as you speak your truth, giving you strength and guiding your words. So I think that's an important message for you. You need to feel confident in your feelings, and you need to be assertive. You can be strong without being aggressive, and that's being assertive. No matter what it is, no matter who it's for, even if it's for yourself, be assertive for yourself. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really sorry we didn't have a lot of time.
That's okay. I'm going to check you out on your website.
Please do.
Awesome.
Yeah, please do. And I would like to connect with you a little bit more. So, yeah, send me an email, please. Just go to my website and go to the contact page and just send me a quick little email.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Misty, thank you for a great show. One last
Thank
thing.
you.
Tell folks how they can sign up and do some work with you.
Absolutely. You can go to my website, mistymthompson.com, or my Facebook page, Mystified Enlightenment. And I'm on other social media, but those are the 2 main ones, going to my website and Facebook.
Awesome.
Yay.
Misty. I love it. Thank you so much for all that you do. Amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a great year. Fabulous year. Can feel it in the air, but like you said, we got to take care of some business at hand. So thank you for helping our listeners today.
Of course.
Wow. Thank you all for tuning us in, turning us on. Benny, thank you for pushing all the right buttons. Carter, thank you for helping me get my screen straight. And thanks to all of you who are the best listeners on the planet. We'll see you next time.